course, see the mahiwagang question. Okay. Maghanda ka na? Sabihin mo ang iyong town. Oh. Sabihin mo lang. Okay.
Narbakan na isang sangayan!
Ayan. Handa-handa na nga siya. Here you go. In ILOCOS, most of the people who were infected by the COVID-19 are authorized person outside of their residence. Would closing our borders temporarily help mitigate the problem? Why or why not? I repeat the question. In ILOCOS, most of the people who are infected by the COVID-19 are authorized persons outside of their residence. Would closing our borders temporarily help mitigate the problem? Why or why not?
The COVID-19 pandemic has been a very devastating event and crisis that happened to all of us because we suffered from it physically, we suffered from losing our jobs, and worst of that is losing lives. I think that closing the borderlines of ILOCOS would at least prevent the widespread of the coronavirus here in ILOCOS. But I also believe that our government is very hands-on and they are very good in containing the virus within our municipality or within our province because, well, in fact, they have protocols and we as Ilocosurians are following the protocols. And let us always remember that all together, if we pray with one another, this COVID pandemic, just as the sun rises in the east, this pandemic will one day come to an end. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. SANIATA Narbakan. Now let's welcome our second finalist.
SANIATA San Esteban, Bernadette Color.
Yan. Masaya ako kasi ang dami nating active netizens ngayon.
Exactly. Imagine 7,100 netizens. Hello to you all.
For sure, dumagdag na rin yun ngayon. How about
Baka
7.5?
8,000 na.
Naman! Oo. Alright. Kumusta San Esteban?
I'm fine.
Alright. How about a gratifying message to all your supporters?
Thank you to those people who supported me all throughout this competition. I appreciate it so much.
Alright. Very sweet indeed.
And here is your question. In ILOCOS, most of the people who were infected by the COVID-19 are authorized persons outside of their residence. Would closing our borders temporarily help mitigate the problem? Why or why not? I repeat. In ILOCOS, most of the people who were infected by the COVID-19 are authorized persons outside of their residence. Would closing our borders temporarily help mitigate the problem? Why or why not?
Well, in my perspective, closing the borders will help our province in Ilocos because we people should be dapat tayong maging Ilocos should be closed so that we people would be protected by this coronavirus. That would be all. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
SANIATA San Esteban. Okay? Third finalist.
SANIATA Vigan City,
Please join us on stage.
Maria Bianca Ako.
Naman, oo. Mahirap din maging apor, no? Pero mas mahirap din kung walang hanap buhay.
Exactly.
Kaya talagang kailangan kahit gaano ka-risky para sa pamilya mo
At
rin.
nakikita mo ngayon kung gaano ka-creative ang mga netizens
Tama.
with everything that they do.
Correct?
And we have here our third finalist.
How are you, SANIATA Vigan City?
I'm doing great, and it was really very unexpected for me to be part of top 6.
Ayan, you've earned it naman.
Exactly. And you are here, and right now I would like to give you the chance to thank all your supporters who are watching online and all over the world.
Thank you because until now, you're still watching, so cross fingers. I hope we can do our best with game news. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Here's your question. In Ilocos Sur, most of the people who were infected by the COVID-19 are authorized persons outside of their residence. Would closing our borders temporarily help mitigate the problem? Why or why not? In Ilocos Sur, most of the people who were infected by the COVID-19 are authorized persons outside of their residence. Would closing our borders temporarily help mitigate the problem? Why or why not?
Closing our borders temporarily help to mitigate the problem in COVID-19 to avoid in our place here in Ilocos Sur is really helpful and very probably could be useful for us because to avoid to increase the numbers of COVID patients, and it is also the right thing to do because to lessen, and we Ilocanos and to the people who is planning to go home, we have to discipline more, we have to follow the protocols as well, and we have to attain patience in ourselves. So someday we will get home, and let's wait and let's apply to ourselves to have the patience, and someday we will get back to normal and to have a normal life in this beautiful province of Ilocos Sur. Thank you and good evening.
Thank you very much, SANIATA Tivigan City.
Our next finalist.
SANIATA Timbang-Singal, Nicole Kate Molina.
Alright? Kung saan tayo ngayon? Dito na rin siya ngayon. SANIATA Timbang-Singal. Alright? Kumusta?
I'm very fine po.
Okay. Kanina good. Great. Ngayon very fine na siya.
Okay. Maganda yan. At eto na. We have here your final question.
Or before that, sige, pasalamatan mo na din mga sumusuporta sa'yo to boost your confidence.
I thank you to all Magsingaleños for the never-ending support and love. Thank you very much.
Alright. Thank you.
So, this is it. Okay. In Ilocos Sur, most of the people who were infected by the COVID-19 are authorized persons outside of their residence. Would closing our borders temporarily help mitigate the problem? Why or why not? I repeat, in Ilocos Sur, most of the people who were infected by the COVID-19 are authorized persons outside of their residence. Would closing our borders temporarily help mitigate the problem? Why or why not?
Can you read the question because I'm reading you because of the music?
Oh, okay. Sure. Take all the time you need, but not all night long.
Yes.
Alright?
So I'll read again the question because the van was too loud for me to understand. So in Ilocos Sur, most of the people who were infected by the COVID-19 are authorized persons outside of their residence. Would closing our borders temporarily help mitigate the problem? Why or why not? As it said in the question, most of the people who are infected by the COVID-19 are authorized persons outside of their residence. So would closing our borders temporarily help mitigate the problem? Yes. Because this is to further stop the spread of COVID-19 despite of the undisciplined factors that the people are doing. And that's all. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You know, for a second thought, I thought we already have our third host. Pinasa na yung question.
Pero actually, pag nasa loob ka talaga and the
Yeah.
music is so loud, medyo
Correct.
irritating or parang painful na sa ears.
Tama. Okay? Anyway, thank you very much, SANIATA Timbang-Singal. Now may we welcome our fifth finalist.
SANIATA Kawayan, Marian Kendeng.
Approaching is SANIATA Kawayan, ladies and gentlemen, and our netizens.
Okay, kumusta ka?
I'm feeling good and I'm happy.
Ayan, you should be, okay? Kasi your family are also happy for you.
And talking about this significant others, it's your time to thank all your supporters.
I would like to thank all the Kawayanas for supporting me and helping me through my journey. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Here you go. In Ilocos Sur, most of the people who are infected by the COVID-19 are authorized persons outside of their residence. Would closing our borders temporarily help mitigate the problem? Why or why not? In Ilocos Sur, most of the people who are infected by the COVID-19 are authorized persons outside of their residence. Would closing our borders temporarily help mitigate the problem? Why or why not?
As a future medical technologist, closing the borders of Ilocos Sur will mitigate or lessen the COVID-19 the infected in COVID-19 pandemic, because it will lessen the contacts and it will also help us avoid the COVID-19 pandemic. And also, if we should always follow the protocols and safety guidelines of IATF, because it is for our own good, to save lives, to save humanity. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
For humanity.
SANIATA di Kawayan, she is. And now let's welcome our last finalist.
SANIATA di Gregorio del Pilar, Jennifer Andrada Rewarin.
And this is the last but not the least finalist.
Yeah.
We are just like a few minutes away from knowing who will be crowned SANIATA di Ilocos 2021.
Ayan, kaya kung maaari i-save niyo po yung inyong mga mobile data, okay? Sa mga nakakonek pa sa ating mobile internet. Okay, how are you, Gregorio del Pilar?
I'm doing good.
Okay, now that you feel good as well, ayan, syempre pasalamatan mo rin naman ang mga sumusuporta pa rin sa'yo.
Thank you so much for always supporting me from the very beginning. Thank you.
Thank you. Question.
So here is your final question. In Ilocos Sur, most of the people who were infected by the COVID-19 are authorized persons outside of their residence. Would closing our borders temporarily help mitigate the problem? Why or why not? I repeat. In Ilocos Sur, most of the people who were infected by the COVID-19 are authorized persons outside of their residence. Would closing our borders temporarily help mitigate the problem? Why or why not?
Thank you so much for the question. Well, I think that we should still follow the rules and regulations of what our government Ilocos Sur should going to implement at amidst of this pandemic. And I think that it should be closed. Why? It's just simply because for us to lessen and at the same time to not increase the level or the number of COVID cases here in Ilocos Sur. For as long as we're doing or we're having that self-discipline within ourselves, know our limits, know our actions, know and also have that advice and guidance of our parents, then nothing can stop, or we can be able to stop this COVID-19. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. There you have our SANIATA di Gregorio del Pilar.
And that concludes our final